Hi, I'm Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And today's newsletter is going to be passion and risk versus stability. What we're going to talk about today is career, purpose, mission, doing something you love for a living. Because I know a lot of my audience, a lot of clients that I talk to, at least half the people that I work with are trying to figure out their purpose or how to monetize what their true passions are and make a really kick-ass living at it or a really great business. And I've got an email here from a viewer who immigrated to Canada, and he knows what he really wants to do, but the way he's looking at it, he just can't figure out a way to monetize it and turn it into a business. And for those of you that are maybe into real estate or are personal trainers or you're an attorney or something along the lines of you have gifts, you have skills, you have talents, you can learn from this and you can apply the same model that I've used to successfully grow my business to doing what it is that you want to do. Because this is a really common type of email that I get a lot of questions about. But a strategic planner taught me many years ago, and this is so true, there's no such thing as a bad idea, only bad plans. It's like deep down, everybody knows what they really want to do with their lives, but they just don't know how to go about doing it. And when you decide to do something, you don't necessarily know how you're going to get there. It's like the business I have now. I knew what I wanted to do, but how do I package that up? How do I communicate to people? How do I demonstrate the value that I have to offer people? I didn't know all those questions. And like the things that make my business a success, mainly one of the things that drives most of the traffic to my website and grows my audience the most is YouTube. And when I started this business, YouTube didn't even exist yet. And so that's why it's so important to move in the direction of where you want to go, because technology, things come along, especially at this day and age, at a very fast pace, and you can take advantage of those things. But like I said, you don't necessarily know how you're going to get there, you just know where you want to be. And the key is being open and flexible as to, because like when I first started this business, I had a lot of concepts and ideas about how I thought this business would work. There were lots of other people that were successful in the self-help industry, but their business model was really based upon an old paradigm, and there were a lot of things about it that I wasn't really crazy about or wasn't interested in getting involved in. Like one of the businesses that I looked at was Tony Robbins' self-help business, and his business model is all based upon what Jim Rohn, who was his original mentor, had built, and that was, we're talking 4 or 5 decades ago that business model was perfected at this particular point. But it's like what I do now, the YouTube channel, the way I do everything through the internet, it's so aligned with my nature of how I like to live and how I like to schedule and operate my life, especially coming from a business, the construction industry, the real estate industry, the mortgage industry, where it's very labor intensive. Right? My old business, I had 40 employees, I had 2 business partners. That's like being married to 2 other people, and it's like the business I have now is an absolute fucking dream. I've got myself, I've got a web engineer, I've got a graphic designer, and I've got editors that work for me when I'm either doing stuff in the website or with my book. And the beauty is they're all independent contractors, and they're entrepreneurial minded, and so when I need something done, it's a task that I assign to them and they just take care of it, and I pay them based upon performance. In other words, I assign a task and they do it and they bill me for it, and it's so nice compared to having to deal with weekly paychecks with people and taking taxes out and all those kinds of things. It's way more easier and way more efficient. It's a lot more fulfilling what I do now. And so we're going to go through and analyze it, because I know a lot of people that are watching this video are in the same boat. Deep down, they kind of have a passion. They know what they want to do, but they're thinking, Jesus Christ, where do I start? How do I figure out how to eventually get to where I have a successful business or where I have a successful career doing something I really love? And so I got a quote that I wrote on this topic I want to share with you, and then we're going to go through this guy's email. And the quote says, "There's no such thing as a bad idea, only bad plans. True success in doing your life's work comes from learning to do something you love, becoming really great at it, and finding a way to monetize your gifts, skills, and talents by delivering them in a way that significant numbers of people will gladly pay for. When you are starting out on your journey to becoming great at what you love, most times you won't know how to successfully do what you want to do. The fastest way to speed up your success is to find others who are already succeeding at the highest level doing what you love and to model what they do successfully. Go work for them and get paid to learn how to master your craft on their dime. If that's not possible, interview them and ask for their best advice on how to become successful like them. Most successful people love to tell their stories and help others to follow in their footsteps. You can either find a way or a way out. Successful people persist until they find a way. Unsuccessful people give up and settle, saying it's too hard or impossible. So let's go ahead and jump right into this guy's email. And from his perspective, what you're going to see is that he perceives, because of where he came from, he in essence is an immigrant in Canada, he's like, oh, I've got all these disadvantages. Here's why I can't do what I want to do. This is a story that he tells himself. And everybody that's watching this who doesn't have the life that they want or who doesn't have the success that they want, the only thing that's getting in the way of them having it is the story that they tell themselves about why they can't have it or why it's not in the cards for them or why it won't work for them. But as you're going to see, I'm going to give this guy a great way to do what he wants to do. It's obviously going to take many years to get there, but if he follows the pattern that I lay out for him, he'll be able to one day have a successful career in business doing what he really loves. He says, hey coach, I'm a 30-year-old single guy from a third world country who recently immigrated to Canada. I was many things before I came here. A psychiatrist, a political activist, and novelist. I published 3 novels and 1 short story collection in my native language. Among all those, I felt I was only a writer and the others were day jobs. I have immigrated to Canada for many reasons, but mainly to fulfill my lifelong dream of becoming an English writer and increase my chances with women, for I was part of a minority in my home country and there were not a lot of options for me. As a new immigrant to Canada, however, I found myself a Mr. Nobody. No employer would take me for my lack of Canadian experience and because most of my degrees aren't recognized here. Even my only recognized degree is a Master of Arts in International Relations, and I received it from an American university. It's not in demand here, though. Canadians, it seems, don't bother about world affairs or international politics at all, and I have to accept my new country as it is. I work at Starbucks merely to cover my expenses and pay the rent. I came here dreaming of becoming a writer, but I don't have time to practice writing in English anymore. It's a if you're let me see. I think he said he's working. Before I get to, he's working at Starbucks, and so in his mind, he doesn't have the time. In other words, that's the story that he tells himself. Well, how can you ever have the time if you never take the time? Nothing becomes real until you schedule it. But really, what he needs is a plan. He needs a strategy, something to follow that he can do day in and day out until he ultimately, in other words, build his business on the side. It's like I've talked about many times in other videos. I waited tables for 10 months many years ago. I'm like 38, 39 years old. I was fucking waiting tables at a sports bar. And I remember when I was 20 years old, when I finally quit working tending bar, I was like, I'm never going to work at another fucking restaurant as long as I live. And here I was after making $500,000 a year, having a $2.5 million office building, $1 million house in the lake, having an exotic sports car, 2 cars, boat, jet skis, kick-ass house, a big business, being on TV, having in Orlando spent $50,000 a month in television advertising, go sleeping on my fucking dad's couch, working part-time Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, waiting tables, make enough extra money to pay my web developers and keep my Google pay-per-click campaigns going so I could figure things out. And that way I was able to keep my coaching practice going during the day. Because there were plenty of people going, oh, dude, you need to be realistic. Oh, you just need a good job. Go work back in the construction industry. I'll go get back into real estate. All things that I had no fucking desire to do. For me, it was all about finding a way, not a way out. So he says, I often am advised to seek a Canadian degree in order to increase my chances in the Canadian job market, make connections, and be able to get a student loan. In other words, people are telling you the same shit they were telling me. Hey, be realistic. Go get a job. Go get a degree. Go do something you really don't want to do because, hey, you got to earn a living. And the people that are giving you that advice are all people that have settled. And that's a great plan for them, But at the end of the day, they're trying to get you to be like them. Because that's what they know. If you want to be a millionaire, go talk to people that are millionaires, people that are successful at doing what you want to do. If you want to start a successful business, don't go talk to all the friends and family who don't own businesses about how to start a successful business, because they don't have a fucking clue. They don't know. They're not doing it themselves. So how could they possibly give you any kind of advice that's worthwhile? He says, I find the idea very entertaining, but here comes a dilemma. What kind of degree and in what field? Well, you shouldn't go back to school unless you're going to go to school to do something you really love and you really have a passion for. Now listen to what he says. I am passionate only about English and literature in this life. That's what he really loves. So if you're going to go to school, it really doesn't even need to necessarily be a degree. The only reason you should go to school is if you want to become really awesome at English and literature. You want to be a kick-ass writer. Remember, repetition is the mother of skill. It's like if you want to become a successful musician, you need to fucking play. You need to get out there and master your instrument and start playing in front of other people, or become part of a band, or form your own band. If you're a writer, fucking write day in and day out. When you're not working your day job, you should be writing. Writing and improving. Repetition is the mother of skill. It's like if you look at my early videos that I did when I was first starting out versus the videos I do now, people tell me all the time, dude, your videos are getting better and better. It's like I've done 1,500 of them now. Of course I'm going to get better over time. It's like you look at Michael Jackson or even Justin Bieber, any famous musician that is known worldwide. They started out small, and they just did what they loved over and over and over and over and over, until they got to the point where they were so good that people were like, hey, we need to sign you to a record contract. He says, getting a graduate degree in English would allow me to read, write, and focus on improving my English and style. For English is my second language, I'm still having great difficulty writing in it. Well, you've done a pretty good job of writing this email, and your punctuation's pretty good. He says, however, I'm aware that jobs in English and literature-related fields have been in decline for over a decade, and it's a very dangerous path. There's no such thing as a bad idea, only bad plans. And then right now, you're saying, oh, it's a bad plan. There's no way I can do it. You just don't have a plan to successfully do what you want to do, which is write. You'd love to write. That's what you really need to do. He says, I still have other options. I can apply for degrees in fields that I'm not passionate about but are stable. Psychology, for instance. The upside is it's a stable job. Fuck that. No way would I do that. He says, the downside is I will have to live multiple lives and work in a job that is very demanding on one hand, and that I have no real interest in on the other. I've been there before. I've had a stable job that I wasn't passionate about. Now listen to what he says. He says, they paid the bills, but I was always critiqued for not going the extra mile and for my lack of enthusiasm. I was mediocre at best, but again, it paid the bill. The bills, I should say. Well, think about it. If you're working at a job just because it pays the bills, and on a scale of 1 to 10, it's like a 5 or a 6 as far as being emotionally compelling, or a 2 or 3, you're really only going to work hard enough, just hard enough to not get fired. You're never going to really work hard enough to become awesome at it. That's why it's so critically important to do something you love. Why waste your fucking life doing something you hate just to earn a paycheck? You're going to make yourself miserable, and you're going to have a very short life because you're going to be so unhappy and so unfulfilled. And so he says, passion and risk or stability. I'm 30, no girlfriend, no stable source of income, no career path, nothing. What should I do, coach? So remember, he said he says, I work at Starbucks to cover my expenses and pay the rent. So that's great. That is one thing that you're doing. That's an easy job that you can do, but you're not going to work more than 30, 40 hours a week anyways at that. So here's what I would do if I were you. Now, you may be, this can apply for anybody that has some kind of gifts or skills or talents. Here's the secret. Here's the real secret to the internet and marketing on the internet and becoming successful on the internet. You may have heard this phrase before. Content is king. Between Google search and YouTube, the internet is structured in such a way that if you serve what you know, either through YouTube videos, like in this particular case, he's a writer. What I would do if I were you, go to my website, sponsorships.com. Look how it's set up. I use WordPress, which is totally free to download and to use. And the theme that I use is a Genesis theme. You can pay $100, $150 to buy the license to use the Genesis theme. And you can organize your website exactly the way mine is, under categories that you love and you have passion for. You obviously majored in international world affairs. I would start a blog with the same structure and the same format as I do. If you notice on the right side of my website, there's a donate button where people can make a one-time donation, or they can subscribe to do the same type of thing with your particular website. And start writing about things that you have an interest in and you have a passion for. And I would definitely suggest go take 1 or 2 classes a semester, not because you want to get a degree, but just because you want to become a really awesome writer in English and master the language. Write at a 6th grade level. Don't be going and learning English and learn all these big... I was watching a clip the other day. Who was speaking? It was one of the guys that's always on. I can't think of his name right now. And he was talking about what's going on in the Middle East with ISIS, the terrorist group that's basically taking over parts of Iraq and Syria. And one of the guys that's on there all the time, it's like Meet the Press. And Andrea Mitchell was interviewing him. And he's talking about the generals and how they're all... He's like, I talked to all these generals and people are in the military, and they're telling me all off the record that they're... And he uses this word, he goes, they're apoplectic. I have an engineering background, and I write a lot. I'm going, I've never fucking heard that word before. This guy goes, apoplectic. What the fuck? I had to go look that up. Apoplectic basically means angry and pissed off, just fucking fuming mad. Well, fucking say that. Speak at a 6th grade level when you're writing, so they use words that most people will understand if you're going to be a writer. Speak in first person. You notice, like, everything I talk to, just like now, I'm looking in the camera, I'm talking to the person watching the video. I'm having a direct conversation with them. When you write, that's how you want to write. The most effective way to write and to teach is storytelling format. That's why I tell lots of stories and I use lots of examples. That's why I use these emails, because people that are watching, they can relate to that. And so if I were you, I would start a blog and I would write about everything that you're passionate about. If you notice on my website, it's broken down in like 5 or 6 different categories. And mostly what I do now is I initially started out just doing like email analysis. And now what I do is I do email analysis actually in my videos. It saves me time. It's a lot easier to do it that way than taking somebody's email, fixing all the grammar mistakes, coding it properly, and doing all that. But in your case, you love to write. You have a passion for it. So create a blog and write about that. Now here's the secret to growing your audience, whether it's through YouTube or it's through Google. If you can produce a piece of content 7 days a week and also have an email subscribe list, and you can use like MailChimp. If you go to MailChimp.com, MailChimp.com, in the upper right-hand corner, create your layout exactly like my website. And then that way, people can subscribe to your newsletter. So each time you produce a new article, you send them a link to it, they come to your website. They come to your website, and you have the Google tracking code embedded, and there's a place in WordPress to put the Google tracking code for your website. That way, every single visitor that's on your website, Google knows what they're doing and what they're reading, and that will help them adjust their search algorithm to deliver the exact right audience for free of what you're writing about. People that are interested in what you have to write and what you have to talk about. And it's going to take you several years to grow an audience of substantial size that you'll be able to leave your Starbucks job. But at least when you're working a job like Starbucks, your bills are paid, and this way you can write on the side. And you may want to, I highly encourage you to do YouTube videos as well. The key is consistency. If you can produce an article 7 days a week, and the nice thing about WordPress, you can write all your articles in one day and set it to auto-publish on the days that you schedule. You can do the same thing with YouTube videos. So you can do all your, like now, this video that I'm shooting several videos in one day, but they're going to be published every day or over the course of several days. So there's only a few days a week where I actually do my videos. And that's the beauty of technology. And so you can do this with your blog. You can write about things that you're passionate about. And like I said, when you first start writing, nobody's going to show up. But if you've got Google's tracking code embedded in your website, then Google, over time, what they want to see is they want to see consistency. because if they send people to your website or to your YouTube channel, they want to be able to obviously to have the most relevant information. And a website that is updated consistently, you want to grow the fastest, produce one piece of content 7 days a week. You can do them all in one day or over the course of several days and just schedule it. That way you don't have to fuck with it. Same thing with your email list. It's like once the content is published, MailChimp will send an email to everybody that's subscribed to your newsletter letting them know that, hey, there's a new blog post up, or hey, there's a new article up written by you, the author. If you're a real estate agent, if you're an attorney, if you got some kind of widget to sell, or you're a personal trainer, you got something that you're passionate about, even if you're working for somebody else, you want to build a business on the side, that's the way to do it. Take the structure that you see on my website has been perfected over many years, and it fucking works. Follow it. If you'd like me to consult with you and book a phone session so I can walk you through some things, I'm happy to do that. But like I said, obviously you work at a Starbucks, your budget is going to be limited, so you can do most of this stuff in your spare time on your own. Like I said, all the software, all the plugins that I use on my website for work, they're all free. The only thing that you got to pay for is going to be the Genesis framework. Even MailChimp is free. The email list is free. I think they'll allow you to have 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers where they don't charge you anything. But like I said, you can look at all the plugins that are on my website. Use the same exact ones. You know, like the Contact Me form where it says on the left-hand side of my website, it says Contact Me. That ties right into MailChimp. So anytime somebody sends you an email, they'll automatically be subscribed to your newsletter list if you set it up that way. I mean, technology is amazing. Use it. Take what you learn from me and apply it. But the key is, once you start, you can't stop. You got to publish consistently, because if you publish for 30 days and then you take a week or two off, you'll see your traffic going like this over time, and then it'll go right. It'll completely, the bottom will fall out of it. Google and YouTube want to see consistency. That's why you'll notice, like in my videos, at the present time, I'm publishing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday consistently every single week. I'm doing it, and there's a reason for that. Because if I was just publishing whenever I fucking felt like it, my audience would be growing at a fraction of the size that it's growing at. And over the past several months, the rate that I'm adding YouTube subscribers has actually doubled. And it happens at times like that. And so the important thing is consistency and doing it over time. And also the images that I use on my website, I purchase magazine quality images from iStock.com. I-S-T-O-C, iStockPhoto, iStockImages.com, something like that. So if you just Google that, it's a subsidiary of Getty Images. You can buy packages where you pay $2 to $3 an image, or you can pay a couple $100s a month and be able to have access to their whole library of millions of images. But on your website, use really super high quality images on your website. Like I said, any kind of business that you have where you have content, or you can talk, or you can write about it, you can do videos, you can do articles with it. Like I said, if you're going to do an article, just 2 or 3 paragraphs or 4 paragraphs is all you need. It doesn't have to be some long-ass fucking dissertation. Actually, the shorter the better. If you can write about something that's 2, 3, 4 paragraphs long max, that's all you need. Just look through the articles that are on my website and see how they're structured and set up, and just follow the same structure. It will work for you, but it takes time. It might take you 3, 4, 5 years to grow an audience that's large enough till you're making enough income where you can step away from Starbucks. And if you produce more content, if you start writing 2 or 3 articles a day, your audience will grow even faster. And that's the secret. So if you'd like for me to consult with you personally on a one-on-one basis to help you with your business or starting a blog, or to kind of move you in the right direction that you need to go to put your business online, I'm happy to work with you and do that. Go to my website, click the products tab at the top of your screen, and book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session with yours truly. And I will talk to you soon.